Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we're going to be doing a blue and gold builder gel design using the Kiki London Easy Build Up Gel. So I really hope you all enjoy today's video. Now for today's video I am working on a practice hand, so there isn't any prep to do, so I will leave the prep video I have done linked in the description box below in case you guys want to check that out. But we're jumping straight into applying our base coat, and for today's base I'm going to be using two colours from the rubber coloured base collection. So I've got 06, which is a beautiful soft pink, and then 01, which is a milky white. So I'm coming in first of all with the 06 and I'm just going to apply a thin layer of this. So I like to really scrub and work this into the natural nail plate when I do that, so I'm doing the same here. I have buffed the surface of the tips I'm working on, so I'm just really rubbing and working that rubber base into the nail. Now I'm going to do the 06 on the pointer and the little finger, and I'm going to do the 01 on the middle and the ring fingers, just because on these nails I wanted to have a bit of a white base for the marbles that I was originally going to do, but then I did change the design a little bit anyway, so technically I could have probably done the 06 on all of the nails, but this did work out a little bit better for the design. I do love that you have a huge collection of rubber base colours to choose from. I think there's 8 in total, so it means you've got something to suit every base color that you need basically. And also you have got the clear rubber base as well if you'd prefer to have a clear base down. They all do work the same even though they are all different colors. Now, if you're not familiar with the rubber base collection, it is very similar to your regular base coat. However, it's slightly thicker and it provides your nail with a little bit more strength. So it's great for any clients who have weak or brittle nails, or clients who suffer with breakages or chipping, things like that. It basically gives you that extra layer of strength to the set. It is my preference when I'm doing any kind of set now. I always reach for a rubber base over a regular base. So once I've got that applied, I'm going to pop that into cure, and then we are going to be using the Easy Build Up Gel today. So I'm going to show you guys the colours we're going for. So I've got a neutral pink for my pink nails, and then I'm also going to be using Snowglaze because, like I said, I wanted a bit of a milky white base. And then for all the encapsulation, I'm going to be using the crystal clear. Now the crystal clear with glitter gives off absolutely amazing clarity, which you will see when we get to that part. But for now we're going to jump into doing the design. So I'm starting off on the pointer finger and I'm going to be doing a glitter French here. So I'm coming in with a thin slip layer to begin with. Your slip layer is a wet layer of gel that you pop down fairly thin. You get a nice neat cuticle and sidewalls with it, but this allows your thicker ball of gel to know where to go and where to flow. So basically it just is a guide for your thicker builder gel layer of gel. Now on this particular design, I'm mainly only building up the apex area with my builder layer on this one. So as you can see, I left a lot of that product in the back third of the nail and thinned it out as we come down towards the tip, because at the tip I want to create a glitter tip and then I want to encapsulate that with the clear. So I've built up roughly 3/4 of the nail down in that back third, but left the tip that a little bit thinner. Now for our glitter French tip, I'm going to be taking the beautiful Champage Spritz. Now this we're only going to be using as a base for some chunky glitter pieces, but I'm also going to use the French brush to create that base. This is just going to give the chunky pieces somewhere to place down, if that makes sense. So it's going to make it a little bit easier as a guide for where I want those chunky glitter pieces to go. I'm really not sure if I'm making much sense right now. The heat has really got to me today. It is so hot here. I think it's like 31 and it was a struggle doing the nails, and then I feel like I've got this hot brain fog that is making explaining anything difficult as well. But if you do have any questions or if anything doesn't make sense, pop me a comment below and I'm always happy to help. Over on Instagram, same goes as well. A lot of you guys reach out to me on Instagram and I'm always happy to help in any way that I can. Now what I've done here is I've created a pretty simple French base using the Champage Spritz, and because it's a nice fine glitter, it makes the perfect base for any chunkier glitters. So I've left that wet, and then using the fan brush I'm going to dip into the Champage Spritz and then dip into my raw glitter mix. This is just a mix of some different shape gold hexes. So it's got some chunkier, larger hexagon shapes, and then it's got lots of smaller fine ones. So using the fan brush I'm able to pick them up. It only picks up a small amount of glitter, which is perfect for these kind of designs because you don't want to be adding loads of bulky glitters. And then I'm just placing them down over that smile line that we've created with the Champage Spritz, and it's just going to give us a beautiful glittery French nail. The fan brush makes glitter application a lot easier, to be honest. I highly recommend it, especially if you like applying these more chunkier glitters in builder gel designs. Then once I'm happy with all the glitter placement, I've switched to my angled nail art brush, and I'm just using this to clean up any glitter pieces that have strayed away from that French smile line, just making sure I'm happy. I want it to come in down this side with a few more glitter pieces, just so the sides of the French looked a little bit more uniform. And then again, just cleaning up and pushing away any of those little stray glitter pieces that have strayed away from our tip. And then I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds, and that's going to freeze all of those glitters in place. We do now need to finish off building up the rest of the nail and encapsulate in that glitter. So I'm starting off by applying my slip layer of gel to the entire nail, keeping it quite thin over the pink, but I'm really working it around the glitter pieces. You want to make sure you get in between all those chunkier glitter pieces, because then your build up ball of gel will flow nicely around them. So you can see that I'm really working it around. And then I'm going to pick up my larger ball of gel, and I'm placing this in that back third of the nail. I don't need to take it all the way up to the cuticle area because I have built up most of that. I'm just kind of finishing off the apex, and then I'm mainly focusing this ball of gel on encapsulating that glitter tip. We did build up most of the nail using the pink, so I just need to encapsulate the tip, and then I'm checking from all angles to make sure I'm happy with the apex. These are a fairly long set of nails, so you do need to make sure that you're getting all your strength and structure in there. And then once that's cured, that's that nail done for now. So we're going to move on to the middle and ring finger. Now these two nails are going to be fairly similar. I just made the marbles a little bit different so it wasn't too samey. But what I'm basically coming in here with, I'm coming in and I'm doing a thin layer of Snowglaze. This is just because I wanted to have a thin layer to work on top of, so that I wasn't encapsulating any of my things, any of my glitters, marble, mylar, the things I'm going to use. I'm not encapsulating them in that first layer of gel. So I like to just make sure I've got a thin layer down to work on top of. This is also great as well, that if you're going to do an infill, you'd be able to file back to that first layer of gel you've put down, especially when you've used things like glitters. So now for our marbles, we're going to be using a couple of blues. So here I have Holiday Blue, which is a beautiful blue for the summer. Then next up we have Fiji Waters. Now I love this colour. This is one of my absolute favourite colours. It's absolutely beautiful if you want a blue summery set. And then we have Neon Print. This one is from the Neon collection, and it's a beautiful, really bright blue. The other two colours help tone this down a little bit so it wasn't too in your face. And then lastly, I'm going to take Pool Party, which is kind of like a greeny blue, but again, it's a really nice colour for the summer. I know sometimes when you think of blue nails, it can seem a little bit wintry, but I love a blue set in the summer. So I've popped those three colours down on my palette, and I've also got some mylar pieces and that same chunky gold glitter mix that we used on the tip of the nail. Now coming back to the nails, we've cured that first base layer of gel, so this time I'm coming in with a second layer of the Snowglaze, keeping it quite thin because I'm going to just use this layer basically to set down our nail art and do some of our mylar. So I'm just popping down a thin layer. When you are doing these kind of designs and you are going to be adding different layers of elements to the nail, you want to make sure that you're keeping each layer fairly thin, otherwise you will end up with a bit of a bulky nail. Then swapping to my fan brush, I'm going to pick up some of these beautiful mylar pieces and just place them down into that wet Snowglaze. And then using my dotting tool, which is also from Kiki London, I'm going to just move those around until I'm happy with how they're all placed. These are going to look slightly covered up. We're going to kind of do a layer of Snowglaze over the top of them and then some more on top. So I want everything to just lay nice and flat basically. Then I'm going to take my stripe liner brush and we're going to pick up some of those blues that we popped down on the palette and start just pulling this through the wet layer of Snowglaze. So we haven't cured anything yet, so those mylar pieces may still move around a little bit, but as long as we keep them on the nail, it's all good. I wanted to marble into the wet layer of Snowglaze because it just helps the marble flow and bloom a little bit. I wanted this now to look quite blue because I wanted enough blue to show through in the design, but I wanted there to be the mix of the different colour blues. Now it didn't go 100% to plan. I did end up preferring how the design looked on the ring finger because you see a little bit more of the snow glaze through it, but this is kind of like one of those designs, it all comes together once you have encapsulated and top coated. So it's one of those designs as well that it looks really, really pretty in real life because the different layers of nail art will reflect differently. Like I said, we're going to pop a layer of snow glaze over the top and then we're going to put some more mylar on. So some of them will look slightly hidden and milky and more iridescent, and then some of them are on the surface of the underneath the clear layer, sorry. So they'll look a lot more shiny and pretty. It all comes together at the end, but I hope that makes sense. So for now, all I'm basically doing is marbling on the nail, and then whilst that marble is still wet, I am going to take my fan brush again and just pick up some of those gold glitter pieces because I wanted to tie in a little bit of gold into this design as well. I'm not worrying too much if things like the glitter and the marble and the mylar are overlapping because it all adds to the kind of look that I wanted to go for. And I think it looks really, really pretty, but let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Now that I'm happy with that layer, I'm going to pop that in to cure for 60 seconds and then I'm going to take a layer of snow glaze over the top. So I'm starting off by really working this layer over those glitter pieces. The nail is a little bit uneven at this point due to the mylar pieces and the glitter, so I'm really working this over the surface. And then whilst that wet slip layer is still wet, I'm going to take a ball of gel and just work this over the nail a little bit more just to build up a slightly thicker layer and also to add a little bit more of that milky colour. And then once I've done this, as you can see, it's toned everything down a little bit. It gives the mylar flakes and the glitter a bit of a different effect. They look a little bit hidden and sunken in the nail. And then I'm just going to pop a few, not many, a few small pieces into that wet milky layer of snow glaze, and then this just adds depth to the nail because you've got a few pieces that are hidden underneath and then you've got these pieces that are on the surface. So I'm going to cure again for 60 seconds and then we're going to come in with our final layer to encapsulate everything in. Now with this encapsulation layer, I don't need to build up any thickness. We have pretty much built up most of the nail, so I just need to encapsulate those last few glitter pieces in. So I put my thin wet slip layer down first of all, and then I'm just building up down the spine of the nail basically, just so that all that strength and structure is there for the length of the nails and all of those pieces are encapsulated without ending up with a too thick or bulky nail. Like I said, even though we've done a few different layers, these don't end up thick in the slightest. They look really, really pretty, and they are a little bit thicker than obviously a natural nail overlay because you do need a little bit of thickness when you are working on this length nails, but they don't look bulky or too thick in the slightest. They have nice thin tips and things like that once we get to the end. So now moving on to the ring finger, I wanted to create a similar design, but I did it a little bit differently. So this time I popped down the wet layer of snow glaze, but this time I come in with my marble first of all. And rather than covering the majority of the nail with it, I'm kind of just working down the center to begin with, and then I come off of that first center piece. So I'm making sure I use all four of the colors. They kind of do blend together and it kind of creates a bit of a ocean wave effect, which I thought was really, really pretty, and again works for the summer. And then again, I'm going to tap on, while everything is still wet, some of those blue mylar pieces. I didn't want to add too many in, I didn't want it to overtake the nail, and I do want to still be able to see a little bit of that marble. I wanted to make sure the marble run over some of the mylar pieces as well, like it had done in the previous nail, as again I like that effect that it gives off where the mylar pieces look as though they're hidden underneath either the snow glaze or a little bit of the marble. And then once I'm happy with the mylar placement, I am going to come in and add just a few of the gold glitters as well, just so everything ties in across all of the nails. I want to make sure each of the nails had a little bit of that gold, because then it kind of just flows nicely across the set. So again, I'm taking my fan brush. This picks up such a nice amount of glitter, and then I'm able to just dot that on where I want it to be. And then we're going to pop that in to cure for 60 seconds. And then I'm wanting to go for the same effect that we had done on the previous nail as well. So I'm going to come first of all with my layer of Snowglaze. So that thin slip layer to begin with, encapsulating all over the chunkier mylar pieces. It does help if you get any kind of nail art that you're encapsulating. It does help if you get the pieces lying as flat against the nail as possible. So sometimes if anything is sticking up or a little bit too chunky, you can bend it so that then it will lie nice and flat and curve on the nail. Same as before, once I had my wet layer of Snowglaze down, I popped on a few more mylar pieces, so those pieces on the surface will pop a little bit more and add a layer of depth to the nail. And then we're going to add on our final encapsulation layer, keeping it fairly thin because we have built up most of the nail. And like I said at the start about the crystal clear builder gel, it has the most amazing coverage. Out of all of the products I've used, whether it be acrylic, gel polish, builder gels, this particular clear has the best clarity for over any kind of glitter or mylar. It just looks literally crystal clear, so the name suits this perfectly. Moving on to the little finger, I wanted this now to look fairly similar to the pointer finger so that the whole set flowed like I mentioned. So I'm going to come in and do a base layer of neutral pink. So I'm keeping this fairly thin again because I'm keeping in mind that if I was doing this set on myself or a client, I'd want a base layer of gel that I could file back into when I come to do an infill. So this is how I would work when I'm working on my own nails. I usually start off with a clear layer or my pink, whatever I'm using, just so I've got a thin layer down so that when you do an infill, you can file back to this layer and redo a new design, especially for designs like this where there's quite a lot of nail art going on in the design. If your client come back and wanted something completely different, you would need to file back down to that thin base. So I like to make sure I've got some kind of base thin layer down to begin with. If, for example, I'm sculpting, I'd file back down to that sculpted base, but because we're working on tips, I like to just have a thin base layer down. So now that we've got that down and cured, I'm then coming in over the top of that with some of the Champage Spritz and my ombre brush, fading back and creating a glitter fade. And then same as what we did on the French nail, I'm just coming over the top with my fan brush and that chunkier glitter mix and just making sure that it's full on coverage down at the tip of the nail, but it blends and fades back into a nice soft glitter fade into the neutral pink. So we're then, once I'm happy with how all that glitter's placed and I'm happy with the fade, I'm going to pop that into cure. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my neutral pink and I'm going to start up by applying a slip layer, but rather than taking it all the way down the nail, I'm taking it roughly 3/4 of the way down the nail because I want the tip of the nail to be encapsulated in clear and to look the crystal clear and the gold to really show through, but I want the glitter fade part of the nail to be hidden and sunken down into that neutral pink because it creates a really pretty hidden glitter fade effect. So what I'm doing here is over that wet slip layer, I'm building up my layer of neutral pink, building up my apex, my strength and structure. I'm doing exactly the same as I would as if I was doing a full builder gel nail. I'm just not taking it all the way down to the tip of the nail. Then once we've cured that, we're going to work on the tip of the nail. So I'm going to do exactly the same but with the crystal clear. So I started off with my thin slip layer and then my builder layer just to finish off at the very tip of the nail. We really didn't need a lot of this because we are only working on that tip of the nail. Do always check from all angles that you are happy with your apex and everything. So this is what the nails looked like once we had finished all of our builder gel. Off camera, I then did file and buff these. Now I left the filing and buffing out of the video today because it was already quite long and I didn't want it to be a super long video. But if you do check out my other builder gel videos, I have left the filing in on a lot of those. So I'll leave a couple of those linked in the description box below for you guys if you want to see any filing. But to be quite honest, what I love about the Easy Build Up Gel is it files really effortlessly. So it don't take a lot of filing to bring back that nice crisp shape and get an overall nice finish to the surface of the nails. I did then dust them off using the new Kiki London dust brush and wiped over the nails with some alcohol, and we're now ready to apply some crystals. Now I'm only going to be applying crystals to the pointer finger. So I have these beautiful blue crystals from Kiki, and then I've also got my Kiki London dotting and gem tool, which makes crystal application a hell of a lot easier. And then to apply my crystals, I always use the no wipe rubber top coat. So the rubber top coat is brilliant for adding an extra layer of strength to the nails. Again, it works very very well in combination with the rubber base coat because it helps any clients who have weaker nails. It also is brilliant for aiding any kind of, if you've got clients who are prone to chipping and things like that, it still provides a beautiful shine. So as you can see here, it's bringing back to life all of those glitters and mylar pieces that we placed down. But one of the things that I absolutely love about it is it's amazing for applying your crystals. It's a hell of a lot easier applying your crystals into the rubber top coat than it is applying them with any kind of glue. Glue dries really quickly, so if you don't get your crystals placed exactly where you want them to place, you can find it a struggle to move them around or remove them, where when you're applying them with the rubber top coat, you're able to move them around as much as you like until you pop them into cure. So what I like to do is apply my regular layer of top coat. So I apply exactly the same as I have done on all the other nails. And then I'm just going to apply a few little crystals. So I didn't want to do anything too fancy. There was a lot already going on in this set with the design, but I just wanted to apply a few crystals to the French nail, as I love combining crystals and French. So I'm just picking out a couple of different sizes, and I'm kind of just going to do a little triangular shape down at the cuticle area. So we've got a larger one in the center and then some smaller ones. The Kiki crystals do come in mixed sizes, and when you purchase them, the sizes are all separated. So if you prefer, you can keep them like that, but I just like to mix them all up in a pot and then pop them out in my palette like this. This is just my personal preference with working with them. Once you're happy with your crystal placement, you pop that into cure for 60 seconds, and then this is the finished result. So this was a really fun set to do, and I really love how the blues and the golds work together. I love the different layers in those marble nails, but it is hard to capture how pretty they look on camera. I do hope you all enjoyed this set. If you did, then please do give the video a thumbs up and leave us a comment. And of course, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I would absolutely love it if you hit that subscription button. I hope you all have an amazing weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.